American Truck Simulator is expanding once again. This week on May 14th, the Illinois DLC is planned to release, and besides being the 18th map expansion, it also marks the near completion of the Midwest region. Home to America's third largest city, the famous Route 66 and a massive transportation network, Illinois looks ready to bring a completely different atmosphere into ATS. Alongside this DLC, the new Volvo VNL is also expected to release, meaning we will probably get to explore an entirely new state from within a brand new truck. Safe to say, it's a very exciting week for the ATS fans. A big thank you to SCS Software for the early access, and while keeping in mind this is all still work in progress, let's take a deep dive into everything this DLC has to offer, and find out whether it was really worth the wait. Let's start with what we're actually gonna get in terms of locations. Illinois is bringing a total of 11 fully marked cities. Equal to that number, we're also getting 11 smaller settlements, spread across the state, and together they represent one of the densest and most well-connected map DLCs we've seen so far. From the major urban areas such as Chicago and Springfield, all the way to the smaller historic towns sitting along the famous Route 66. You'll be happy to know that SCS has paid a lot of attention to these smaller settlements. Places like Monmouth or Shenoa may not be marked on the map, but nonetheless they feel real when passing through, and sure play a big part into making the state feel alive. Many of these towns are inspired by real historical locations, railroad communities, and the old Route 66 stops, giving Illinois a very unique history-heavy Americana atmosphere while driving through it. Now, all these locations are equally well built, but obviously, the undisputed attraction, the crown jewel of this DLC is Chicago. As the third largest city in America, Chicago alone feels so large and detailed that it could have easily been a DLC on its own. It's clear to me that SCS understood how important this city was going to be for Illinois, but even ATS as a whole, and the amount of work that went into it is to be admired. It has the largest skyline yet, it's nicely complemented by the dense industrial areas, the elevated highways and the recognizable bridges that will all keep you constantly staring out the window of your truck while driving through the city. It feels busy, well designed and alive in a way that we haven't really experienced before in the previous map expansions. As one of the largest freight hubs in the United States, Chicago was always going to need a bit more than just a few roads and depots to feel believable. And thankfully, SCS really delivered here. The rail yards, warehouses, factories, they keep stretching in every direction, and it makes it feel like a complete experience. Another cool detail is the beginning of the historic Route 66. SCS included a hidden road leading toward the official starting point, which is something that I highly recommend discovering yourself in the first drive through the city. And before we move on, I want to take a second and point out the moment Chicago truly stands out as the best city in ATS. It's soon after the sun sets. For me, the reflections, the traffic, and the constant movement around you truly change the feeling of driving in ATS. Chicago feels unique, massive, and hopefully the standard of how SCS will treat all the metropolis moving forward. Now, beyond the cities themselves, Illinois comes with a huge amount of smaller environmental details that helps the state stand out while driving across it. One thing that I really liked were the murals, and even though they're scattered across different towns and mostly urban areas that we already covered, I feel like this deep dive would have been incomplete if I didn't take a special moment to talk about them. You see, Illinois has a strong history of public art, and it's really nice to see that SCS recreated that atmosphere with hand-painted murals inspired by the local culture. Small details they might be, but they add a lot of personality to the roads and make many locations feel far more recognizable and real. The water also plays a big role throughout the DLC. Illinois is filled with rivers, lakes, industrial waterfront areas, and you constantly notice how much they influence the road network and the scenery around you. Industry was another major focus here for SCS. You see, Illinois has one of the most diverse economies in the United States, with a long manufacturing history, and I believe that translates really well into ATS. You'll find a large variety of industries ranging from industrial and construction equipment manufacturing to agriculture, logistics and heavy freight movement. SCS also created a large number of new and custom depots specifically for this DLC, which helps deliveries feel much more connected to the state itself, opposed to what it could have been if they instead chose to just use the old layouts over and over again. And last but not least, for those of you who own the Special Transport DLC, I have some good news. Illinois also introduces new oversized cargo routes. It's always nice when we get new content on DLCs we already own. Right, I could probably sit here forever talking about ATS, about how this DLC brings me back to my childhood, where every winter I used to sit around my family watching Kevin living alone in that big house on 671 Lincoln Avenue. But to be mindful of your time and not spoil everything before you experience it yourself, let me just conclude and say this one thing. Illinois is a really good DLC. It's well made, atmospheric, and genuinely refreshing to drive through. And more than anything, it's an absolute win for us, ATS fans. I'm very excited for all of you who will soon get to experience it on May 14th. And as always, whether you're passing through Chicago, Springfield, or Champaign, make sure to always stay safe on the road and keep on trucking. Cheers.